Good morning. Today we will start our discussion on nonlinear system analysis using describing function method. Now, before I start about discussing on describing function method, I have to give a very small introduction to the various types of nonlinear uh, components and basically they are called nonlinearities in the system. Okay. So what is nonlinear system and what is linear system? I expect that you already have some basic concepts to distinguish the difference to find out the difference between linear system and nonlinear systems. You know the linear systems obeys the principle of homogeneity and superposition, and whereas the nonlinear system doesn't. Otherwise, if you want to have pictorial view between the different between linear system and nonlinear system, uh, regarding the difference, then then you have to imagine the characteristics curve, and you know that for any component, whether it is resistor, capacitor, inductor, diode, transistor, uh, whatever the component type is, you have to, whenever it is required to draw the characteristics curve for any component, the characteristics curve is drawn on a using x-axis and y-axis. Let me draw the say this is x-axis and this is y-axis. This is x-axis and y-axis. Now this is not the phase plane, right? This is also x-axis and this is not a plane, right? This is x-axis and y-axis, and uh, uh, in this chapter, nonlinear system analysis, x-axis will be considered. Sometimes in characteristics, or not sometimes, often we require the characteristics curve for the analysis using describe function method. Now the characteristics curve requires x-axis and y-axis. Now what denotes this x-axis and what denotes this y-axis? In this case, x-axis and y-axis are not representing the state variables. Okay, this x-axis denotes always the input to the component, and y-axis denotes the output of the component. Now, if I draw a curve like a straight line, then see this is a linear relationship between x-axis and y-axis. Rather, we can say this curve or line is a linear relationship between input and output. There is no doubt about it. So any component which exhibits this kind of characteristics graph or curve in between x-axis and y-axis, I mean between input and output, that means that output is fairly proportional to the input. So this is a linear relation between input and output. So the component must be a linear component. Now, when the component is non-linear, then your characteristics curve may not be linear. The characteristics curve of the nonlinear component must be nonlinear. Now, what type of the what does it look like? If I draw any curve or graph between input and output for nonlinear system, then what may be the looks? This is for linear system. Now, what about nonlinear system? As I have said to you that x-axis denotes always input in this case, and y-axis denotes the output. Now my curve looks like is it linear? No, it is not linear, it is non-linear, because up to that point it is linear. That means you are applying input, you are getting output, you are applying input, you are getting output, you are applying input, you are getting output, you are applying input, you are getting output. After that point you are applying input, you are also getting output. Now the output becomes saturated, output is fixed. You are applying, you are still increasing the amount of input, but you are getting the same amount of output, so output become constant. Now overall this curve is however up to that point the curve is linear, but overall the curve is not linear. This is a non-linear curve, and this that means that this is a non-linear relationship between input and output. So any component which exhibits this kind of relationship between input and output, which is non-linear in nature, then it is called non-linear system component. So this is the curve of non-linear system. So that's the point is that if you find out that for the input and output characteristics is linear, then it is linear. That means that it is a linear component, and for nonlinear component the input output relationship may not be linear, it is nonlinear relationship between input and output. Now what are the examples? Resistors, resistors, capacitors and inductors are linear components, but uh, diode, what about diode? Diode is, if you remember the VI characteristics of diode, the VI characteristics of diode is not linear in shape. Okay, you can remember that the VI characteristics curve of diode is between input and output is not linear. Can you remember the shape of the graph? This looks like, the curve is completely non-linear in nature. This is a characteristics curve of the diode. So diode is not linear element, right? So diode is non-linear element. Similarly for transistor, IGBT, GTO, you are studying power electronics in this semester. You must have heard about these components. So basically, except inductor, capacitor, and resistor, most of the components which are used in electronics or which are used in power electronics are non-linear component. Even light emitting diode, LED, since it is diode, so it's also a non-linear component. So practically, uh, practically we have to deal with the non-linear component in our everybody life for all the devices. Now thing is that if your circuit is made of linear components like resistor, capacitor, inductors, like I always give in last semester, I always bring the example of RLC series circuit to explain uh, different concepts. Now in case of RLC series circuit, the circuit itself is system, because system is a collection of components which are arranged in such a manner so that if you apply an input, the system will produce the output. But the system is a collection of components, so the components are linear in this case, because resistor, inductor, capacitor are linear components. So the system, obviously the system is always it must be linear system. And if your system is linear, then the differential equation, if you apply KVL, the differential equation coming out of it is also linear equation. And if your equation is linear equation, differential equation is linear equation, you can apply Laplace transform to find out the transfer function. I repeat, if your system is linear, then your system is linear means the system is a collection of components. So if the components are linear, then the system is linear. So the differential equation when you represent this system, it must be linear. So if you have linear differential equation, then You can apply Laplace transform to find out the transfer function, and the transfer function is required, uh, uh, always required to represent the system for stability analysis, for getting the time response, okay, for getting the various time response specifications. Now, a transfer function, we generally find out transfer function to represent a system, because transfer function is the ratio between output by input. The transfer function is the ratio between output by input. So this is a relation between output by input. When initial conditions are zero, obviously the output by input in the S domain, because you are applying Laplace transform to get transfer function. Ultimately, but the point is the transfer function is a representation of a linear system, because if your system is not linear, if your system components are not linear, then you cannot apply Laplace transform, and without Laplace transform, transfer function definition is not valid. What about nonlinear system? If your circuit contains any nonlinear component, then it is not linear system, I can say. If your circuit is if I draw a RLC circuit. Okay, input voltage and output voltage. This is a linear system, because the components are also linear, RLC, they are linear components. So this is a linear system. But what about non-linear system? This is a linear system. What about non-linear system? Suppose the circuit is unidirectional. So I am placing a diode before the resistor. Now what is the difference between these two circuits? First one consists of only linear components, and the second one consists of linear components as well as one non-linear component, which is diode. Now, if your circuit, you have seen in our in our refrigerator, for all the devices, or home appliances or industrial devices, everywhere they have seen diode, 7-segment devices, LED, LCD. So they contains electronics, and actually most of the systems are actually all the systems are non-linear system, because they contain the electronic component, and any one electronic component make the whole system be non-linear. So since this circuit is consisting of only one diode, but the diode is a nonlinear component, the whole circuit system becomes nonlinear system. So if your circuit contains diode, then you cannot apply Laplace transform to get transfer function. So it is, in this case, it is not possible to have transfer function for this second circuit, right? So what then, uh, if uh, if we go ahead with our thinking that the whole system in engineering system is nonlinear, then how to find out the stability? Because we have learned already that Bode plot, Nyquist plot, Lucas plot, the plots, so route technique. These techniques are used to find out the stability for linear system, because they require transfer function. But in such cases where a nonlinear component is inserted in the system, then what about the stability of the system? Stability is required after all. So what can I do? There are two ways to deal with it. First of all, what you have learned already, you have learned the state space. You can represent this, however you cannot find out the transfer function, but you can represent this nonlinear circuit using state space. And once you have state space equation, you can draw the phase plane trajectory using method of isopline, and you can check the equilibrium point, and by checking the singularity around the equilibrium point, you can find out the stability of the nonlinear system. That is one point. That is one way to find out the stability of the nonlinear system. But the problem with the phase plane analysis is that it is applicable to only second order system. But in our engineering system may be more than second, the system's order may be more than two. Then what will happen? Even phase plane trajectory, drawing a phase plane trajectory is not so easy. However, it is easy, but not so easy to draw. So what can I do? We have already learned Lyapunov stability analysis. Yes, you can apply Lyapunov stability analysis techniques to find out the stability of the nonlinear system. But there is also a problem that you have to find out the proper Lyapunov function, energy function, which is called as Lyapunov function. So if it works, then it's okay. You are able to find out the stability of the nonlinear system using Lyapunov's method. Otherwise, what will happen? We also have another technique called Descartes function method. Descartes function. Now, Descartes function is also a function like transfer function. Transfer function is the ratio between output by input in Laplace domain when initial conditions are 0. And Descartes function is also a function which is the complex ratio between output to input. But it is applicable to only nonlinear system. So we will learn that how to find out if we are able. Actually, the point is that the better way to actually, you see, most of the nonlinear system, if you observe the nonlinear characteristics curve, then the nonlinear characteristics curve is maybe linearized. I mean, if you see this drawing, then up to that point it is linear, right? Up to that point it is linear. That after that point it is the characteristics becomes non-linear. So there are in mathematics there are some techniques which are called Taylor series expansion methods. So using these techniques you can actually linearize this nonlinear system. You can linearize the nonlinear system. Now, linearization of nonlinear system is a topic. It's a very uh, important topic, but it is not elaborately included in your syllabus. So I'm not going to do the details of it. Uh, my point is that you have to somehow linearize this characteristics curve. Linearize this characteristics curve. If it is possible to have linearized characteristics curve of the nonlinear system, then we can go ahead with our analysis, right? So the computation becomes simple and faster. So Descartes function in this sense works. Descartes function is the complex ratio between output by input, but there is no condition. There are some limitation, but not conditions like transfer function. Transfer function transfer function is the ratio between output by input when initial conditions are 0. In this case, no, there is no concept of initial condition. It is also a function between output by input, but it's a complex ratio between output by input. Now, what is Descartes function? We will discuss how to derive Descartes function and how to derive the Descartes function for different types of nonlinearities. We will also discuss. We will also derive, and we will also find out the stability using Descartes function method. Now, before I discuss in detail about Descartes function method, let me give the introduction of various types of nonlinearity present in the system. Now, there are two types of nonlinearity. One is incidental. So now we are discussing about nonlinearities. There are two types. One is incidental. Another is intentional. What is incidental nonlinearities? Incidental nonlinearities means that the nonlinearity, the nonlinear behavior, like nonlinear characteristics or nonlinear behavior, are inherently present in the system. This is not artificial. I mean, let me give you some names of incidental nonlinearities. Examples of incidental nonlinearities. First, we will take this incidental nonlinearity one by one and we will discuss. Saturation, dead zone, Coulomb friction, stiction, backlash. And intentional nonlinearity, relay. So saturation, dead zone, Coulomb friction, stiction, backlash. These are the names of different types of nonlinearities. Saturation. Saturation. What is saturation nonlinearity? Let me draw. Let me pick one by one, and I will discuss the behavior of this type of nonlinearity. Incidental nonlinearity means that this kind of nonlinearities which are basically inherently present in the system. What is saturation? How does it look like? Let me draw. As I've said to you already that for understanding or representing any characteristics curve, yeah, the x-axis denotes that the input and the y-axis denotes output. So we will write x-axis as input and the output is output. Y-axis is output. Now saturation nonlinearity, where is it present? Let me first of all draw the characteristics curve, then I will draw give the examples of the presence of this nonlinearity. Mm, this is a positive characteristics, is a negative characteristics. Now what is the significance? You are applying input, you are getting output, you are applying input, you are getting output, and up to that point you are getting proportional output. You are applying input, you are getting out proportional output. After that point you are not getting proportional output. The output is now fixed. However, you are applying input, your output becomes fixed. So output becomes saturated, we can say. So this kind of characteristics is nonlinear characteristics, because this is not, for if you see the whole range of the characteristics curve, it is not linear. It is not a straight line. The straight line is up to that point, it is straight line, but after that point it becomes fixed. The output becomes fixed. So the whole range, for the whole range of input, the output is not linearly behaving. So this is a characteristic which is a nonlinear characteristics curve, and this is called as saturation characteristics curve. Now what kind of component behaves like saturation curve, or I can say that what is the source of this saturation nonlinearity? Because we are discussing about incidental nonlinearity, and as I already said to you that incidental nonlinearity means saturation comes under incidental nonlinearity, and incidental nonlinearity means that this type of characteristics or nonlinearity is inherently present in the system. We are not manipulating the component behavior to get nonlinear output. Saturation, where do I find out this kind of characteristics? Saturation, can you imagine? You must have seen that in our audio amplifier, nowadays everything is digital. You can increase your sound of your amplifier, or you can decrease your sound of the amplifier using up and down key of the remote. And it's basically the remote connects with your audio system, which is using Bluetooth or Wi-Fi signal. But actually in previous days, there is a knob in the there is no there was no remote. There was a knob on the audio amplifier, and you have to rotate it in the right direction to increase the sound, or to decrease you have to rotate again in the opposite direction. Now we have seen that after certain, suppose I have purchased a 1000 watt audio amplifier from the market, and you may purchase a 2000 watt audio amplifier from the market. Now what is the expectation? Expectation is that a 2000 watt audio amplifier will give you more sound, bass, as compared to the 1000 watt audio amplifier. Now whatever your amplifier is, there is a, I mean there is a capacity. A 2000 watt amplifier must have a capacity, and 1000 watt amplifier must have a capacity. Now if you increase your sound, if you can rotate, the knob, the sound may be increased. But for this is true, what I am going to say, this is true for all the cases, for 1000 watt amplifier, 2000 watt amplifier, is that after some time, after some times the sound becomes hazy. And it becomes fixed. When you start increasing the sound by rotating your knob, the sound is also, you are applying input, that means you are applying some voltage, or you are applying input, means that you are actually rotating the knob, so you are applying some input voltage to the amplifier, and the signal is amplified, and the output is also increased. So you are applying input, your output is also increased. But after some times the knob becomes fixed. You are applying input, you are even after sometimes the knob may be rotated, but the sound becomes fixed, because your audio amplifier now becomes saturated. So in case of audio amplifier, now whenever we the word strikes to our mind, amplifier, the amplification basically comes from the op amp, and op amp is generally works for amplification purpose. Okay, now op amps means operational amplifier. Op amp is IC 741 op amp. Now op amp has a inherent characteristics of saturation, because op amp you can increase the gain of the op amp up to certain limit. That means I can say that saturation characteristics is present in the op amp. We can also observe the saturation characteristics in the transistor characteristics. So this component saturation, these components like transistor and op amp exhibit saturation type of characteristics. So whenever you implement your circuit, or if you make your circuit using transistor or op amp, there is a chance of saturation characteristics, because up to the limit of the op amp, it will work as a linear system up to that point of your input. But after that point of input, your op amp becomes saturated, so your output of the system also becomes saturated. Let me give you one very important example of saturation. However, you have to this nonlinear, to understand contour system, you have to open your window of imagination, right? So these examples, you can find out the various types of nonlinearities, definitions, and examples from your book. But to understand that how does it work, then how does it affect the system performance, you have to imagine that how what do they do in the circuit. So to understand better the effect of or significance of saturation characteristics in the system performance, I will give you one example more. So far what we have learned? We have learned linear system. So I am drawing a block diagram. I have drawn a closed loop block diagram where my transfer function is 1 by a square plus s plus 1. This is a planned transfer function, and this is the gain, which is k. My input is rs, my output is ys. This is the system is completely linear, right? No doubt about it. You are familiar with this kind of diagram. Now gain is k. You know that what is the effect of gain? Gain is generally k is multiplied with the transfer function. Basically this is I can also write down k by transfer function is k by a square plus s plus 1, and this is second order transfer function. Now what is the effect of gain? You have learned already in the last semester. What is the effect of gain? You have seen in Root-Lucas plot that, or Routh technique, that if you increase the gain, the stability may be hampered. If you increase the gain, the stability may be hampered. So sometimes we are supposed to find out the range of k for the stability using Routh technique. We can also find out the range of k using Root-Lucas plot. You have seen that even Root-Lucas plot is plotted when the gain is varied from 0 to infinity. So using Root-Lucas plot, we are supposed to find out the exact value of k to meet up with our settling time and overshoot, and also to ensure the system is stable. And we have in my practical class in the last semester. However, there are few students in that class, but I had taken an example that this to how to find out the proper value of k, that is gain, to meet up with the proper value of settling time and overshoot and stability. Anyways, you can find out. My point is that the value of k, that is gain, the value of gain affect the system stability, and also the transient response specifications. So proper value choice of k is very important in this regard. Now gain means what? Mane, you can select one, k is equals to 1, this gain is 1. If you select k equals to 10, then gain is 10. If you select k equals to 100, then select 100. If you select k equals to 1000, gain is 1000. Mathematically you can put any value of k, but practically it is possible. Is it possible? Any value of k? Now let me give you the practical circuit of this diagram. Practical circuit of this diagram. First of all, see the transfer function. What is the transfer function? 1 by a square plus s plus 1. Is it familiar to you? It's second order system. A RLC circuit, if you consider R is equals to 1 ohm, L is equals to 1 Henry, and C equals to 1 farad. C equals to 1 farad. Then you can find out the transfer function. It will be 1 by a square plus s plus 1. Because for RLC series circuit, the transfer function is basically LCS mm, yes, 1 by S square, 1 by LCS square plus RCS plus 1. So since L is equals to 1, C equals to 1 farad and R equals to 1 ohm, so it is 1 by S square plus S plus 1. So by writing 1 by S square plus S plus 1 means that it basically the transfer, this transfer function basically coming is a representation of the RLC series circuit. Now what about the gain? How do, so the hardware realization of the transfer function is that this RLC series circuit. Now what is the gain? The gain is associated with amplifier. The gain is basically used to amplify the error signal here. This is the error signal. Again, you can I can draw a amplifier like op-amp amplifier. How does it look like op-amp based amplifier? There are two types: inverting amplifier and non-inverting amplifier. However, inverting amplifier is inverting amplifier may give you negative gain. So to avoid negative gain, I am drawing non-inverting amplifier. This resistance is called RF feedback resistance, and this resistance is called R1 input resistor. And the input is connected to the positive terminal. So it's a non-inverting amplifier. Now what is the gain now of this amplifier? Gain is 1 plus RF by R1. 1 plus RF by R1. Now see, if I want to have 10 and gain equals to 10, then I have to select this RF equals to 9 kilo ohm and R1 is equals to 1 kilo ohm. Okay, so 1 plus 9 so 1 plus 9 becomes 10. Suppose I want to select 100 gain. The value of the gain is 100, right? Then in such case, if R1 is fixed resistance, say 1 kilo ohm, then I can choose RF equals to 90 kilo ohm. So not 90, 99 kilo ohm. So 99 kilo ohm by 1 kilo ohm, 99. 99 plus 100. So that is how you can implement the practical gain in the circuit. However, the proper value of gain to ensure stability you can find out from the root Lucas plot or RH technique, wherever you can you find yourself comfortable. Now after implementing this gain practically, what about that summing amplifier? Summing amplifier can also be implemented using in op-amp based summing amplifier. This is RS and say this is R11, this is R22. So you can implement your summing amplifier using also op-amp. Now this is the complete real-time circuit. This is the mathematical representation. The block diagram is a mathematical representation, but this is a practical representation. Now my point is that we are discussing about saturation nonlinearity. That means that suppose I want to find a even if you increase your gain, the system becomes faster, and we want that also faster faster rise time, okay, faster response we always want in control system. So anybody can say that, oh, to have faster response I can increase the gain, but the gain is limited by the stability of the system, which is found using Raoult technique and Root-Lucas plot. The thing is that yes, mathematically it is possible to increase the gain, but physically there is a op amp. Okay, the op amp, the gain is basically implemented using op amp. Now every op amp has a capacity. You cannot expect that you can increase the feedback resistance such that the gain may be increased 1000 to 1 lakh and 10 lakhs and so on. It's not possible, because this actually this IC 741 is a teeny IC. It has a capacity. So after sometimes if you still increase your input, the output becomes saturated. So this kind of characteristics then it may happen. So what does it mean that your gain is now sometimes, however practically we can mathematically we can find out that the gain may be increased, maybe increased from 1000 to 2000 mathematically, but practically you cannot expect that you can get gain equals to 2000. Maybe the gain is limited by practical op amp, maybe 1500. So if what is gain? Now question is, what is gain? Gain is output by input. And if you see this curve up to that point, what is the slope? The slope is, what is the slope? Slope is k, which is output by input. So this is basically gain. So that means that this kind of graph or characteristics you may expect in this op amp. So up to that point, it is behaving like a linear system. So maybe for this op amp, say suppose your gain is 1500. That means up to that point your gain is limited to 1500. Then after you are increasing input, but your gain is not increased. Your gain is now fixed. So whatever your input is, now output is fixed and limited by the limited gain. So basically all the systems is, my point is that all the systems is linear. This example is I am giving to you to help you understand that basically the system was linear, no problem with that. But practically when you implement this linear system, then practical system requires circuit, and practical circuit requires components. And in this practical circuit, there are which is a component, inductor which is a component, capacitor which is a component, and there are two op amps which are also components. Now op amp is not linear component, because op amp internally op amp is built of transistors and diodes. So op amp is not a linear component. So and up to that point op amp is behaving like a linear. So because op amp is actually specifically is used here as for the gain, to implement the gain. So up to that point the op amp is behaving like linear element, but after that point it becomes non-linear. So basically the op amp is a non-linear component. So your practical system, however you are associated with gain many times before, but basically gain is practically gain is implemented using op amp, and op amp is a non-linear component. And non-linear component, this op amp is non-linear component which may exhibit like saturation characteristics curve. So I can say the saturation kind of non-linearity may be present in the op amp. So this is a practical example of saturation non-linearity. Similarly, we will start the next non-linearity, which is dead zone.